Hello, good evening, everyone, and happy Friday. This is Jessica Pichardo, coming from you live from my home in Hawthorne, New Jersey. So, hope everybody is doing well. Um, Yay to end the semester and to a great class. I am getting used to this video thing. Um, I feel that I'm too good at it, so bear with me. But of course, I'm here to talk to everybody about my multicultural design project. Um, so I work at a charter school in Patterson. I work with kindergarten through eighth grade. I really focus on working with parents as their parent engagement coordinator. So I provide a lot of services and community events and knowledge for parents and the students. And one thing that the charter school wants to do in the near future is to grow and add a high school. But in the meantime, with all of our grant and funding, what we enjoy doing is exposing our middle school students to higher education. And that is a love of mine, obviously. So, in doing that, I've had the opportunity to meet with a lot of admission counselors in New Jersey and from out of state, Maryland, North Carolina, I think Georgia last year. So it's been a wonderful opportunity to get to know, what things are like, outside of our little bubble of New Jersey. So in doing that, as of late, I've learned that our political climate has had a severe impact on our students and our scholars in higher education. And, outside of the state university, um, the schools, are diverse, absolutely. Um, but not every school provides professional development for cultural competency. And, not all administrators are trained. And, this affects our students and this affects, how they perceive themselves and how they perceive others on campus. And my multicultural design project looks to really um, bridge that gap, to provide, an opportunity and a forum for our administrators to have a better sense of what diversity is and what it looks like, and also for our students to have an opportunity to develop an openness and appreciation for the other side, and the other cultures around them. So that is my design project, and that's what I want to look to do. So just to give a little bit more clarity to it, let me read my notes. Um, we have a new president of the United States who has taken an oath. There's been a lot of concerns from students on campuses regarding lack of acceptance between, many different cultures, from white to black to Latino students. There's been a lot of political confrontation between the the Democrat and the Republican parties, and that has led to a divide. It's really giving us a throwback to the 50s and the 60s and what that actually looked like. And the effects that's having on our students is that Latino students feel angered by the political misrepresentation that immigrants are overcrowding the country, taking other people's jobs, coming here illegally and living off the system. Black students are angered by police brutality, of course, which has been a huge issue. Angered by that they don't feel that they're being heard within their communities, which I completely agree. White students who um, have been in favor of Trump and his administration feel that they've been charged as being white supremacists. And, this causes such a divide across many lines. And, a lot of colleges, campuses outside the state are having trouble really combating this new norm and this culture. And I would seek to, in my project design, um, address some of these issues and invite administration and faculty and staff into this forum and these conversations, to really cultivate a safe environment so that students feel heard, they feel respected, they address those negative stereotypes, and staff have a better understanding about the diversity that's on their campus and what that actually looks like, and that it would kind of repair just the harsh feelings that's really going around because of this political climate. Um, so my particular student population is everyone: white, black, Latino, Asian, everybody. Because I feel everybody needs to be heard in this forum. Student Affairs Department would be impacted greatly, as I would look to them to also assist in generating a panel for discussion. And this would be an open invitation for all campus participation. So, again, across the board, everybody. The reality that each student feels vulnerable is really, something that I feel, um, needs to be addressed. And it's just a reality. The goal is to provide an opportunity for students to feel empowered through conversation and art. Why did I choose art? Um, I think a lot could be said in a program of conversation when you go to a conference or a convention, and you have a keynote speaker or you have guest speakers. There's a lot that could be accomplished through conversation, but there's something that is within us all. And there's something that goes through every culture and every language, and it's song, it's dance, it's poetry, emotion, it's all of that. And you know the program that I'm envisioning for this project would um, have the conversation, and it would have the panel, but it would also invite and set it up so that teams would have to present, and present in a way that is not is creative in a different language. That's what I'm trying to say. So number two, context about students and the institution. So I think it's important to acknowledge that all cultural populations have their vulnerabilities and stereotypes. Many times the false knowledge you hear in regards to stereotypes is what you internalize and understand about another culture. We know that although there is a need for higher education institutions across the country to be trained regarding cultural competency, that not all schools and departments are. We can see the news that these results trickle down to our students. And I remember a few months back, or it might be longer, there was that fraternity who wore like sombreros and mustaches, and they were, using like beer bottles and different things, and they were posting that they were on the internet and that they were Mexican, and it was just very insensitive. So, just as parents have an obligation to be a teacher to our students and to our children, so do our college professionals to be role models to our students and to teach them to be authentic and know that they are beautiful. So I believe that dialogue is essential to our students to be proud of who they are. Um, so, yeah, when it comes to feeling authentic and really um, being true to yourself, I mean, again, we know that our students through the adolescence and young adulthood are really developing their identity. And they're really trying to figure out and acknowledge, the aspects that, you know, embody them and make them who they are. And, it's important to provide a safe space and, let them ask the questions that they may not want to ask, because they may be confused as to the answer, and they're just trying to gain some clarity. So again, having a safe space is really important, and combating a hateful environment with openness and love and appreciation is, I feel, is the best way um, to invite diversity to learn and grow within each other. So number 3. So my program, I believe, will be, have a great opportunity to grow. The reason why I spoke about, and I'll get into it, but the reason why I spoke about the creativity in art, there's a story behind it. And there's a story that actually came from me having to go to the New Jersey State House in Trenton with my director. And we were going for this charter school lobby day. And we're part of, parent working with parents and really trying to gather support for our institution. So we're on our way to Trenton, and every day, every week, every month, every year, my director is constantly singing the lyrics to Hamilton the musical. And every day, every week, every month, and a year, he yells at me that I've never listened to the soundtrack, nor have I been crazed with the desire to see the musical, although I am now. So on our way to Trenton, he drove. So he's in charge of the music, and of course we did Act One on our way to Trenton and Act Two on the way back. Well, I have to be honest that when we got to track 3 on the soundtrack, I was floored. I really, the language and the lyrics and how there was song, but there was, rap, and there was, different voices and different cultures. It just poured out through the soundtrack, and I was so inspired by it. I was like, wow, this is like a really coming together. Like, this is so symbolic of our country, and this is so symbolic of, diversity in general. So that inspired me, and I really developed this program in terms of that creativity that came through on the Hamilton soundtrack. So the goal is to do a program that has open dialogue. It acknowledges the concerns, and it offers clarity to questions. Um, but the art in terms of poetry, dance, and song is really such a key to identity that it's what brings everyone together. So the program would draw participants into participating with other students to formulate a presentation. So these administrators could be thrown in with 3 other students. Could have 4 administrators with 2 other students, and all of different backgrounds and different language and everything, and they would have to formulate a poem or a dance or something that reflects a little bit of each of them. So something that they bring to the table. For example, dance. My husband's Dominican, so, bachata is like a huge thing in our family. And even like our son on Sundays, we teach him how to do it so this way he could dance. And, it's really exciting, and it's really beautiful to see. So, I would do that, and I would do like bachata. Maybe somebody else would do lyrics to a poem, and another person could beatbox. But that's just like an example of a coming together that you could visually see that the different aspects um, can create, something beautiful. Um, so my goal is to achieve acceptance and to break down the chain of hate on college campuses. I further would want to see higher education professionals learn from the program and mimic some of the conversations in their sessions with other departments on campuses, through student missions, to faculty, and to researchers. So I think the best approach is to recognize that everyone has good intentions. Everyone has good intentions. I don't think anybody wakes up and or is born or really goes to a college campus and university for a degree who is like, oh, yeah, I'm here not to learn, and I'm here to really cause disturbances in other classrooms. And I know, forgive me. I know that there's, some scenarios where, there's been shootings, that there's been totally different perceptions than from what I just stated. But what I'm just saying is that I believe that everyone is trying to do the right thing. And especially if you're a student and you're paying that money and you're taking out those loans for a degree, you're definitely insightful enough to know that, you want to be respected and appreciated and understood, as well as to learn from others. So, forgive me on my notes. So as far as the good intentions, I believe the approach should be open, and students should be made to feel confident and encouraged in their willingness to hear the other side, or to hear other multicultural stories, and stories of empowerment, and to be ready to combat the false perceptions that's maybe said against them in a polite, non-judgmental manner. Um, because that's going to happen. And one of the reason that, the coming together is so difficult is there's a lot of people who say that even though they could have speak negative stereotypes forever, they don't want to come together and feel that they have to be combative at all. But sometimes you have to have the conversations and be willing to, address the issues. You can't say like, oh yeah, um my father is an immigrant, and he came here during the Civil War in El Salvador in the 80s, and you're right, he came here illegally and just took up somebody else's job. That's not true. um that was never the case. He worked very hard, and he had a lot of opposition, and he definitely did the legwork to get to where he is today. Let's just say that. So it's about having these conversations, and to be able to present um, in a non-judgmental manner, but to offer that clarification and correction. So, challenges and barriers to success, number 4. So, challenge for success would be lack of participation or unwillingness to participate in a creative art demonstration. So I think these challenges could be overcome by co-sponsorships. And when I say that, it's something that I love to do. It's like my secret. Um, again, I think diversity, I think multiculturalism is vital, and I think that student affairs would see it as being, vital, and so would, let's say, um, admissions. Because admissions, they're accepting these students, from across different state lines or from different communities, and, you know, they would want to see their students, prosper in a accepting environment. So, if there's little interest among the staff to participate in this forum, let's say that this forum is not just brought together by myself, who maybe is like a little worker in EOF, but is brought together by an entire student admissions department and student affairs department. And maybe we could throw in some faculty and researchers um, who would, invite different facilitators on their end within their respective academic departments to participate. So now you have a growing interest, and now, maybe the ones that don't want to participate now become the minority, and now they do want to participate. Um, so that's something that I would do. Getting as many people to co sign on this effort would be a priority, and with faculty approval and acceptance, again, the resistant minority may then reconsider and participate. Number 5, I firmly believe that scholars, faculty, and staff have a longingness. They have a huge desire, strong desire to learn from one another and to obtain new information. That's what academia is. It is constant growth, it's constant learning, it's constant understanding. So I feel that higher education itself calls for continued training, professional development, especially in programming and ways that our programming influences our students. So I think my program would bridge the gap between administrators and students, and it would be a learning opportunity for both sides. So again, the program would be a panel of administrators and some staff, open dialogue, open communication, a breakout session where everybody would participate in doing a creative art presentation involving song, dance, and poetry. And I don't want to call it a talent show because that's cheesy and it's not a talent show. I'm sorry, that's my screen door fighting the wind. Um, but um, it would be an opportunity to really see diversity in a different dimension in a creative way, and so that's what I would bring to the table. Um, and I know a lot of campuses have really been inspired by using art and language and poetry emotion and using that to effectuate change on their campuses. Um, and I think it's just a vital way to bring people together uh, and just learn from each other. So that is my presentation. I wish everybody a blessed evening and look forward to your comments. Have a good night.